What's going on YouTube? This is your boy Black Blade Uchiha coming to you with another video on this game Black Deck. Now, someone recently put a comment and asked me if I could do a tier list. I am working on a tier list, but it's taking me a little bit of time. So please bear with me on that. However, I do want to do a tier list in each faction. Now, I want to say this, not necessarily a tier list, but it's going to be my personal opinion of what are the best cards from each faction. So without further ado, let's get right into this. Starting with the legendary hero, Chthon, Lord of Flies. Now what makes this boy pretty busted, it's not his debuff for mountains. Definitely not this debuff when they attack, even though this is pretty good. It's this ability. Other allies deal damage to all enemies by 10% of their strength when they die. Can be booked to 35%. Now you make that comparable or mix that up with a resurrection set. Not a resurrection set, but you can do a resurrection set. You can also do another bomb set. So that's going to be additional damage on top of the 10% damage that this ability is going to offer as well. So that in itself makes it pretty busted. Now you combine that with these other two legendaries that a lot of people have gotten their hands on lately. You have Chaos Eater, and the reason why people are using them is because Chaos Eater summons another Chaos Eater with 40% strength, right, of whatever his strength is at the time. And then Phoenix does a similar thing, but what a lot of people have been doing with Phoenix is instead of putting a bomb set or anything like that, they put a resurrection set on Phoenix. So when Phoenix dies, it's going to give out an egg. Then that egg, when it hatches, is going to turn into another Phoenix with the same resurrection set, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like you're creating almost an infinite loop, a mini infinite loop of Phoenixes. That's going to keep going, and you're going to keep getting bombed because of this guy's ability, and then you have this guy who has that bomb set on there. So all of the summons that he does is going to bring in more. So that is just busted, and those are three of my tops in this faction. Okay, my next fourth faction card that I wanted to talk about, and I talked about three of them together. We're gonna go over actually Kendrick the Paladin. So he has shield another random ally for the first 2 times it attacks. So, and it can be booked up to 6 times, which is good. And then buffs itself by 10% of this card's max strength whenever an ally with shield attacks. So it just has synergy throughout, right? And it continuously gets a buff over time. It's just crazy. You set them up with a bunch of cards with shield already built in too. It's a win-win. He's always going to get a buff. He's always going to have an ally who's shielding someone or themselves. It's a win-win situation. It's very hard to beat a well-built deck around Kendrick the Paladin. All right, very hard to beat those decks. All right, and last but certainly not least, I'm going to put Mummy into it. The reason why I'm putting Mummy into it is it already has a built-in resurrection ability in its kit. I would only add one thing, and that is if you don't have Chthon, the Lord of Flies, you can add a bomb set to this guy, and it works just as fine, just as good. Put a shock resistance set on it, so the shock abilities don't knock off its ability when it dies, and it can still resurrect itself. But my goodness, you put this guy with a bomb set and shock resistance, it's gonna be night pillow fight. All right, so this is a good card, really good card to have from this faction. Honorable mentions would be the snakes. Each snake is really good. They buff itself. They have their innate element ability, and they all have Serene, which ignores protection and stealth attack abilities. So that's all I have for today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Holla back at your boy. Peace.